Maybe your goal is to have a healthy and loving relationship, but when you finally meet someone who treats you well, you start pushing them away, picking unnecessary fights, or convincing yourself that the relationship won't last. The gap between your goals and your actions can be a sign of self-sabotage. So why do we sabotage ourselves? And most importantly, how can you break the cycle? But before we continue, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Winnie Marita from Your Mind is the Limit community, where we help you identify and challenge limiting beliefs so you can grow from the inside out. If this kind of content resonates with you, consider subscribing and become a part of this amazing community. Self-sabotage is taking actions that would prevent you from succeeding in life or avoid actions that would help you succeed. That sounds counterintuitive, right? Because who would want to fail, let alone become an obstacle to their own success? That's what makes self-sabotage dangerous, because we are not always aware we are getting in our own way. It can show up as perfectionism, procrastination, pushing people away when things get serious, or quitting when you're starting to make progress. Personally, one of the areas where self-sabotage has shown up in my life is in my fitness journey. Every time I start working out consistently and eating well, I begin to see results. But as soon as I start to make progress, I find excuses to skip workouts. So why do we self-sabotage if we genuinely want to succeed? At the core of self-sabotage is self-preservation. It's often about protecting ourselves from something that feels uncomfortable, unfamiliar, or even threatening. One of the biggest reasons of self-sabotage is your brain is trying to protect you. Growth sounds good in theory, but experiencing it can be uncomfortable. When you start changing, you're stepping out of what is familiar, and because your brain prefers what it knows, the familiar can feel safer and more predictable, even if it's not good for you. Think about my fitness journey. When I start working out consistently and eating well, I eventually begin seeing results. But when I start seeing results, I am entering into unfamiliar territory. Hence, I begin doing things that pull me back unconsciously, like skipping workouts or finding excuses not to continue. It's almost like my brain is saying, let's go back to what we know. The second reason is your subconscious mind is running old program. A lot of your daily behavior happens automatically. Think about something as simple as brushing your teeth. You don't have to consciously remind yourself how to do it every morning. You've repeated it so many times that it has become automatic. The same thing happens with unhealthy patterns. Maybe you've spent years starting things but never finishing them. Over time, those repeated actions can become deeply ingrained. So even when you consciously decide you want to change a habit or do things differently, you may find yourself repeating the same old patterns. The third reason is you're afraid of what success may require from you. Sometimes you don't just fear failure, you may also fear what happens if you actually succeed, because success can bring change, responsibility, and new expectations. If you become successful, will people expect more from you? If you achieve your goal, will you be able to maintain it? Sometimes, staying where you are feels easier than facing the uncertainty that comes with success. So you procrastinate, you delay, you don't fully commit. Not because you don't want to succeed, but because a part of you is afraid of what achieving it may require. So how do we break the cycle of self-sabotage? The first step is to catch yourself in the moment. Self-sabotage happens automatically, so you have to learn how to recognize when you're about to repeat an old pattern. Perhaps you're about to procrastinate on something important, or maybe you're coming up with another reason not to work out. Catch it. You don't have to make perfect decision every single time. The goal is to simply create a pause between the urge and your action long enough to choose a different response. The second step is to practice being the person you want to become. Don't just focus on the goal, start practicing the identity that supports it. Then do the smallest version of that, because identity is built through repetition, not just intention. Every time you act in alignment with who you want to become, you reinforce that identity. Gradually, those choices become evidence that you're capable of changing. The next time you catch yourself doing something that moves you further from what you want, don't immediately label yourself as lazy, indisciplined, or incapable. Get curious and uncover what is beneath it. Maybe it's fear, limiting beliefs, or old patterns resurfacing. And by doing this, you'll stop getting in your own way. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next episode. you.